Hi everyone, this is Marco Salsicha, and we're here today to kind of do a video on lesson 2 of our CAP program here, where we are having students draw their own drawings and convey instructions to another student on how to complete the same drawing, or convey instructions to the TBI or yourself on how to recreate whatever they've made. So this involves getting spatially acquainted with just the overall nature of the paper, fractional ideas of like halfway points of the paper, quarters of the paper, and using different kinds of notations such as clock directions or cardinal directions on where to move or where to place points or where to place shapes. So I have a 8.5 by 11 sheet of copy paper here on my sensational blackboard and landscape orientation. I've already drawn a baseline here. So the students, they can or they don't have to, but basically we have a line drawn across to have a foundational area to start our drawing, the horizon line as it may be. And there are a variety of ways to kind of convey how large something's going to be here on this drawing. In this case, what I think would be easy for students to do is sort of use some physical landmarks. As opposed to thinking about inches and thinking about measurement and spacing, you can try doing physical things such as finger width. So if I have this line here, I can put 3 fingers, my ring fingers, the left ring finger is touching the left edge of the line, middle and index fingers are down, and that's giving me a good space to kind of start where I want my house to go. So this is also the assignment where they are only going to build a house or a drawing with only so many shapes. In this case, we have one line, and I'm going to build a house using 4 rectangles and a triangle. So my 3 fingers are down, giving me spacing. So starting at the right edge of my left index finger here, I can put my pen on the line and draw upwards to start using a big square to build the main body of the house. Now, once the pen is down, I kind of know where I want to go. We can start thinking about, all right, so from the pen to the top of the paper, do we move up about halfway? And so I have my thumb where the pen is starting, and I'm spreading my hand across the paper and touching the top edge of my paper with my index finger. And I can get a sense of how wide that is and use my other hand to kind of figure out maybe here in the middle between my 2 fingers. Do I come up to the halfway point of the entire piece of paper? Do I come up maybe to the top third of the paper? I think I'll drop to about a little over the halfway part. So the entire sheet of paper, thinking if I were to fold it in half, like where to end up. So if I draw, so I'm just scratching and moving my pen up and down, up and down, up and down as I move up. And now I have the left wall of my house ready to go. This is going to be more of a rectangle. So I'm going to come over here to the right side of my line. Same thing. I'm going to use my 3 fingers of my left hand. The right edge of my index finger is on the right edge of the line. Index finger, ring finger. I'm going to put my pen down at the left edge of my ring finger where I need the body to start. So I'm going to measure this out here and see if that's going to be good. That feels a little too shallow, or it's going to be a very, very thin stylized house. Although we could probably do that. So I might move the pen out just a little bit more. Totally up to the student. But I already have a wall built, so I'm going to try to make the same height of this wall on the right side. So my thumb is on the left wall that I already built. My thumb is down on the bottom left edge. My index finger is on the top left edge. And measuring now with the way how wide my fingers are splayed. And as I move my thumb over towards where my pen is, I can now draw straight up between my thumb. Oops. Between my thumb and forefinger, I totally went way off base there. Let me see that. Fill that in. Okay, so everyone makes mistakes. There we go. So I just messed up the right side of my wall. I have 2 lines there instead of 1, but that's totally okay. So I have a left wall, I have a right wall. I can now get my right wall is a little too short. So I'm going to come back across and there we go. I'm going to keep fixing this. So now my right wall is about as tall as my left wall. Now if you come across and I can make the top part of the box. So again, I'm going to find where the right wall starts. My thumb is on the bottom line of my drawing. My pen is at the top right corner of my drawing. And I'm going to, as I trace and pull my hand from right to left, my thumb is tracing the ground, so to speak, and I'm bumping the pen into my left finger as I move, so I can keep it as straight as I can, or as horizontal as I can, parallel as I can to the first line that I drew. Okay, so I now have a rectangle sitting on a line. The rectangle is the main body of the house. Putting my left index finger and my right index finger on the left and right edges of the ground, I move them towards each other to find the midpoint of my line. And now note that I'll put my pen down right there at the ground where I want that to start. And I'm now going to make a smaller rectangle, maybe about a finger width. So I put my left finger down at the midpoint. I'm putting my pen kind of on the left edge of my finger. And I'm just going to draw an arbitrary rectangle up here. So maybe about 2 finger widths high, about a finger width wide, and then come back down from the right corner and touch the ground to make a door. So again, I kind of found the midpoint of my box. I put the pen down on the bottom edge of the box and just used my finger to sort of measure where I wanted that to start. So using finger widths and that, finger widths about 2 fingers wide, 2 fingers tall, a finger wide, and come back down, and putting it in the bottom center of the box or at the 6 o'clock position is a good way to kind of give instructions on how the dimensions of the door. I have 2 rectangles to go. So with the box and the door is now in the middle of my box, I'm going to think about my rectangle here in quadrants. So we have the halfway point where we made our door. We can think of halfway up the box and coming across here. So halfway up the box. And then if we go from the middle of the box downwards, we have 2 quadrants in the upper left and upper right corners. And in the upper left corner, so let's say if we have 12, 11, 10, if 9 is here on the horizontal, 12 is up here in the vertical, 11, 10, 10, 30. Man, that might be a little bit confusing. We'll see. Again, I'm going to try to do about a finger width away from the corner. So I'm just taking the corner of my finger and touching the upper left corner, having it vertical and seeing where my pen lands here, having it horizontal and seeing where the pen lands there. And then marking where the upper left corner of my window is going to be. So I have about a finger width away from the left wall, a finger width away from the ceiling or from the top part of the box as my upper left corner. And then I'm just going to draw, again, maybe about a finger width. To do my first horizontal line as the top of the window, a finger width down, a finger width across again, and then close the box. So I made the top, the right, the bottom part of the window, and then the left edge of the window. All we're just using a finger width away from the wall, a finger width away from the top, and then just using my fingers to guide where the pen is going to start and stop. Same thing on the right corner. I'm going to come up here to the right corner of my house. I have the pen here about a finger width away from the ceiling, a finger width away from that right wall. That feels like I might... Oh, because I messed up with that extra line. So okay. Sorry, I'm just moving my finger around. I'm trying to find a good place to put the second window. I'm going to do about the same thing. So finger width away from here, finger width away from the ceiling. I have my right corner. I'm going to do about a finger width horizontal line And I just went from the right corner, top right corner of my window, and I just drew from right to left. And I'm going to draw down the width of my finger, draw on the left side of the box. I'm going to draw across, and then I'm going to connect the window together with the vertical line. Okay, so we now have 4 rectangles. One final thing that we can add is a triangle on top of this house to make a roof. So again, we're going to kind of come to the middle part. We're going to think about folding our house in half and finding this midpoint. Here's our door. Our midpoint is about here. And one thing you can do is come back up. And now from the top of our rectangle, or the ceiling of the house, we think about this with where our thumb is. We drag our finger up to the top edge of the paper to see how much space we have. And perhaps we cut this in half. And so from the middle part of the house, we're going to feel how much distance we have and think about folding this in half, and then put our finger where we think the half mark is, and then bring our pen up to the tip of our finger, the index finger that's marked where the half part is, between the ceiling of the house and the top edge of the paper, and that will be the midpoint of the roof. And this is where some more tactile work will come in. So my thumb is, again, I know where this point is going to be, but I want to bring this, I'm going to connect this point to another point on the side of the house. So up to the student, if they want to make an overhang, that might be a little challenging. If we move maybe a finger width over and have a point, dictate a point here from the upper right corner of our house rectangle, have a point here to the right. I put my finger, the left side of my index finger is touching the right wall, and I'm putting a dot. I'm making a tactile dot where the right edge of my index finger is. And we're going to put, I have my middle finger on the top point, the apex of the roof. I have my right finger on this right dot that I just made, like the eaves, basically. And I'm going to try to connect these 2 dots. So with my fingers touching both dots, I'm going to come down, and you can adjust your grip if it's easier to kind of make this motion, this sketchy motion between the 2 fingers. So I'm just gradually trying to connect the 2 dots together. It's totally fine to go back and forth over your drawing and sketch and make sure that it's moving in the correct way. So I've drawn a relatively straight line from the top apex of the roof to the right side of the house, overhanging a little bit. And then we can connect that overhang to the right corner of the house versus a straight line. And we're going to do the same thing on the left side of the house. So I've put in my left index finger, the right edge of my index finger is touching the left wall, near the top edge, at the top corner of the house. I'm going to move my pen over to the left edge of my finger and mark with a tactile dot. And now I have areas here to connect. And I don't want to bump my camera here, so I'm just going to be careful. I'm going to put my pen at the top apex of the roof, and I'm going to try to make a straight line motion and an angle down towards this tactile dot. So I'm going to use my thumb and my forefinger. My hand is in a bit of an awkward position here, so it's just my document camera. And I totally missed. Yeah, that's going to happen. Yeah, I missed my tactile dot a little bit there, but we're going to connect that together. Anyways, we'll have some fun. Yeah, we have a relatively interesting house, a little bit of some mistakes here and there. That's going to be bound to happen. It's okay to make mistakes, and we have fun with that, and just it gives some a little bit of character. So roughly started with the ground line. I used 1 rectangle to build the main body of the house. I used about 3 finger widths away from the bottom of my line. Once I built 1 wall, I figured out where about the same distance, give or take, from the right side of the line to make more of like a rectangle of the house. Use my thumb and the forefinger to kind of figure out how tall the wall was, and moved it across the ground line to figure out where it was on the right side. Then connected the two walls together with the ceiling, the top part of the box to make my first rectangle. We figured out where the middle of my rectangle was, and then used about a finger width there to design the shape of the door, the width of the door, and 2 finger widths high. And that was my second rectangle. My third rectangle is in the upper left corner of the house. So using my finger and touching the upper left corner using the finger width to put the window about a finger width away from the left wall and a finger width down from the ceiling of the top of the rectangle, and then using a finger width again to draw the size of the square here for the window. And same thing on the right side. We'll finger width away from the right wall, finger width away from the ceiling, and drawing a square here about a finger width in distance. And we figured out the center part of our house and went up and determined about halfway between the top of the house and the top of the paper is where we wanted to put the apex of our roof, and I pressed down with a nice tactile dot so I can still feel it. And then finger width away from the right corner of the house, put another tactile dot here and drew a line between these 2 points. Same thing on the other side, a finger width away from the left wall, and put a dot here and drew a line badly, I will say, between the top part here and that side, but that's again because of my orientation of my wrist. But while you're not busy doing filming, if you're doing general drawing, it's totally fine to rotate your drawing or move your body around the drawing as long as you stay in contact with it and you don't lose your orientation. And yeah, so those are some ways to kind of do that second lesson using just a variety of shapes to build a certain drawing, to build like a house, and then come in and start, if the student really wants to have some fun, like start adding some details like cross beams for their windows, shutters, chimneys, trees, smoke, clouds in the sky, whatever they feel like. They can probably go a little bit above and beyond. But essentially, that's what we're looking for this second lesson.